In Psalm 50, Asaph presents a heavenly courtroom drama. God, the awesome judge, calls his witnesses and the defendants and takes his seat. He levels 2 felony charges against the defendants. They've fallen into religious ritualism rather than worshiping God from the heart, and some of them are openly rebellious religious hypocrites. Pastor Todd here with a devotional for May 3rd. They still followed the religious rituals, but they lived in flagrant disobedience. The psalm ends by calling on both groups to turn to God and worship Him from the heart. The psalm is permeated with the imagery from the story of God giving the 10 Commandments to Moses. In Exodus 19:18, we read, Mount Sinai was all in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked violently. Then God gave Moses 2 tables of the law prescribing how God's people must relate to Him and one another. In our psalm, the setting is not Mount Sinai, but rather Zion or Jerusalem. But when God appears, fire devours before Him, and it is very tempestuous around Him, reminding us of Sinai. In verse 6, the phrase, the heavens declare His righteousness, also reflects thunder and lightning imagery of Mount Sinai. Bruce Pazinga shares this illustration. Every year there is at least one story or a wildfire born of a carelessness quickly spread, consuming the thick, dried-out vegetation and almost everything else in its path. What was once a forest becomes a virtual powder keg of untapped fuel. In a seemingly instantaneous burst, the wildfire overtakes thousands of acres of surrounding land, threatening the homes and lives of many in the vicinity. An average of 5 million acres burn every year in the U.S., causing millions of dollars in damage. Once a fire begins, it can spread at a rate of up to 14.29 miles an hour, consuming everything in its path. As a fire spreads over brush and trees, it may take on a life of its own, finding ways to keep itself alive, even spawning smaller fires by throwing embers miles away. Did you know God is portrayed in one word picture as being a consuming fire? It has nothing to do with judgment or punishment. The reference is found in a passage that defines how we relate to Him.